Students, in our previous videos we learnt about the introduction to transportation problem, northwest corner rule and least cost method. Now here we are going to learn about row minima method to solve a transportation problem. Now here we are given a transportation problem. This matrix gives us the cost matrix and supply and demand are also given. Now we have to solve this transportation problem by using row minima method. Now first of all we have to check whether the given problem is balanced or unbalanced. For that we have to add the supply and demand and we have to check whether they are equal or unequal. So the sum of the supply will be given by 6 plus 10 plus 4 plus 30, which is 16 plus 4, which is 20. 20 plus 30 is 50. And then we have to take the sum of the demand, that is 12 plus 8 plus 25 plus 5. So that is equal to, so this gives us 20, 45 and 50. So when we add all this, we get 50. We can see that the total supply is equal to the total demand, which is 50. So therefore, total supply is equal to total demand. So the given problem is a balanced transportation problem. We shall now make the allotments by using row minima method. So by the name itself we can understand that we are going to choose the minimum element of the row and we are going to make the allotment. So first we should consider the first row. What is the minimum element in this row? It is 2. So now here we have to make the allotment. So for this the supply is 6 and the demand is 5. So which is lesser? Demand is lesser. So that we have to make an allotment here. So once we make the allotment, we have to strike off the column from which the allotment is made. So we are striking this off. And then we have to subtract this 5 from the supply. So the supply is 6. So 6 minus 5 will be 1. So here we will be having 1 as the remaining. Now after this we should check out whether any cell is left out in the first row. Yes, there are 3 cells left out in the first row. So now again we have to make the allotment to the minimum element of the first row itself. Now out of these remaining elements, which is the minimum element? This 4 gives us the minimum element. The supply for this is 1 and the demand is 12. So which is minimum out of these two? 1 is minimum. So we have to give the allotment as 1 over here. So 1 is the allotment for this cell, and after giving the allotment we have to strike off that corresponding row from which we have given the allotment, and then we have to subtract that 1 from this 12. So here we will be having a remaining of 11, and now this is 1. Okay, now if you see, the first row is completely striken off. So once it is done, we should move on to the second row and we should make the allotment to the minimum element. So the elements remaining in the second row are this, this and this. So out of these 3 elements, 6 is the minimum element. So we have to make an allotment for this cell. So for this the supply is 10 and the demand is 25. So which is lesser? The supply is lesser because 10 is lesser than 25. So we have to make an allotment here as 10. And after making the allotment, we have to strike off the corresponding row from which the allotment is made. So after striking this off, we have to subtract the allotted value from this. So that is 25 minus 10. So what is 25 minus 10? It is 15. So that we have to write here. Now after this, if we check, the second row is completely done. It is striken off. So we have to give the allotment for the third row. In the third row, the elements left out are this, this and this. And the minimum out of these 3 is this 2. So we have to make an allotment for this cell. So for this, the supply is 4 and the demand is 8. Out of these two, which is minimum? The supply is minimum. So 4 is the minimum value. So we have to give this allotment over here. So we have to allot here 4. So after making an allotment, we have to completely strike off the row from which we have made an allotment. And after that, we have to subtract that 4 from this 8. So 8 minus 4 will be 4. And now if you see, the third row is also completely done. It is striken off. So we have to move on to the fourth row. So what is the minimum element in the fourth row? The elements left out are 1, 0 and 2. Out of these 3, the minimum element is 0. So we have to make an allotment for this cell. The corresponding supply for this cell is 30 and the demand is 4. Now which is minimum out of these two? 4 is the minimum value. So that we have to make an allotment over here. So after making an allotment, that corresponding column we have to strike off. Yes. So after striking off this, now 4 has to be subtracted from 30. So we will be left out here with 26. So that we will write, because 30 minus 4 is 26. So that I have written here. Now if you see, in the last row, again 2 cells are left out, 1 and 2. So out of these two values, which is minimum? 1 is minimum. So we have to give and make an allotment for this cell now. Now for 1, the supply is 26 and what is the demand? It is 11. So what is minimum out of these two? 11 is minimum. So we have to allot here 11 and we have to completely strike off that column, and then 26 minus 11 we have to do. So that will be 15. So 15 is the remaining over here. Now if you see, all the elements are striken off except this 2. So now we have to make an allotment for this cell. So here if you see, here we have supply 15 and the demand is also 15. So it is a feasible solution. And so we have to allot 15 and we have to strike off both the row and the column. So always remember this. So after making this allotment, we can see that all the rows and columns are striken off, and now we can write the allotment table. So I have written the allotment table here. Now if you see, the number of allotments is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then m plus n negative 1 is equal to, there are 4 rows, 4 columns, so negative 1, and so that is equal to 8 minus 1, which is 7. So we notice that m plus n negative 1 is exactly equal to the number of allotments, because these two are equal. So if they are equal, then the solution will be, the solution of this problem is non-degenerate, basic, feasible solution. So we shall find that solution now. Let us find the total cost. So the total cost is given by this, that is, each cost value is multiplied with its respective allotments. So I have, for example, here it is 4 multiplied with 1 plus 2 multiplied with 5 plus 6 multiplied with 10 plus 2 multiplied with 4 plus 1 multiplied with 11 plus 0 multiplied with 4 plus 2 multiplied with 15. So we get the total cost. So that is equal to, let us simplify this, 4 plus 10 plus 60 plus 8 plus 11, and 0 multiplied with 4 is 0, plus 2 multiplied with 15 is 30. So when we add up all this, it's 14, and so it will be 123. So 123 units. Hope you have understood this row minima method. In our next video, we shall learn about column minima method. Thank you.